Okay, let's go ahead and pray and get started and let the others join when they can. Father, we're really conscious of the fact, especially tonight, that you are the God of the world, that you are present with your people everywhere. You're not confined or limited to certain places, either geographically or culturally or socially or even humanly. And we come thankful that we don't have to wrestle with the barriers of distance. And we're even more thankful that the distance between us and you was closed completely by the ministry of Jesus. And so we come in his name, thankful for this opportunity to share together in learning more about the study of your word. We seek your guidance. We seek your empowerment, not only to learn, but to live in the imitation of our Savior Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Tonight we want to look at the study of places, which involves the geography. And since we're dealing with Bible times, there are not very many of those places in Bible times that are still in the same, that there's been a continuous existence of that place or an identity of that place in the thousands of years that's transpired since then. Different cultures, different languages have inhabited the area. And so you have different names. Sometimes it's close enough, you can take a pretty good guess that this is the same place, but a lot of times you get a totally different name. And then, of course, a whole lot of the places disappeared. Cities were destroyed, and they weren't re-inhabited, or they were rebuilt close by. So now you have a location that's not what it was in the beginning. So there's not near the certainty that we would like in this issue. There are obvious resources available for this. I sent you a list of atlases for you to look at. Unfortunately, the creme de la creme of atlases is pretty expensive. The Carta of Bible Atlas, but its earlier version, Macmillan Bible Atlas, you can get as a used book for pretty little bit of money, $4, $5 to $10. You can get a good copy of it. There are several others that are on that list. The Harper's Atlas shows up on several of these online lists of locations we're going to look at. The Oxford map is a real reliable one. That's the major university of England. So you know they put together reliable material, and it's been out in a paperback version for a long time. So getting a copy of it's pretty easy and pretty inexpensive. And most good study Bibles are going to have some fairly good maps in them. Most Bible dictionaries have a pretty good set of atlases in them. There's another category of books called Bible handbooks, and that's what they generally are called, something Bible handbook. somebody's handbook, they will nearly always have several pages of maps, as well as a whole scattering of maps throughout on various topics, where something happens in a specific location, and they'll give you a little sketch map um, of that. Um, so there's lots of map information. And of course, the dictionaries, as well as most of the atlases, especially if they're very big, will give you a lot of description of the place. And then if it's a really significant place with an important event, you may find a pretty extensive description of it in the Bible commentary on that section of the Bible. Um, so it would be good to have, as we've mentioned before, a good Bible dictionary. And it would be good to have one of these hand versions of an atlas so that you have a way that you can quickly look up, find the places that you run across in your reading or in your study, and have some idea about where it is, how it stands in the country. And in addition to just having a location for it, there are a number of features about the atlas that it's worth becoming aware of. Um, the natural features of the land of Palestine. It's a very, very unusual piece of property. Um, Palestine west of the Nile doesn't belong to the rest of the continent. The Nile, not the Nile, the Jordan River is a break in the tectonic plates, much like California doesn't really belong to the rest of the United States. It's on a different tectonic plate. And that's part of why you have that unusual dip there. You start out with the Sea of Galilee several hundred feet below sea level, and the valley goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And when you get to the Dead Sea, the surface, you're over 1,000 feet below sea level. So if you were suddenly to open a canal between the Dead Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, the Dead Sea wouldn't drain. The Mediterranean Sea would drain into the Dead Sea and bury it. And that rift continues on down into Africa. And you may occasionally run across an article about the new sea that's going to form in Eastern Africa, where the eastern hump of Africa is splitting away from the rest of Africa. Uh, and the land rises pretty rapidly from that rift into some mountains, and then you have rolling hills, and then you don't have to go very far until you run into the sea, and you've got a seashore. It's not very big, it's not very wide or very long, but a whole lot happened there. And you have a vast variety of climate, habitat because of that. And that, of course, has radically changed since the modern day of Israel because they have aggressively developed agriculture in a whole variety of ways there. And so what you go see there now may not be at all like what some of those areas were in the past. And in learning about the sites, you need to know about who lived there. Was this a place that different people have lived? Different people controlled it? What has been the history of this place? Does that history involve more than just the Bible characters? What place do the Bible writers give this particular location? Um, does it become like the city of Sodom and Gomorrah, almost a byword? Uh, how many locations in the Bible do you run across in song, in poetry? Um, what significance and value has been placed on this location? So there's all kinds of information about the place. And then you have overarching all of that, everything that's been done archaeologically. What's been found out about the place? What artifacts have been found there? Um, is that has that been significant, important? Is this a major study, a breakthrough study, for instance? Um, so there's a lot of information about places that adhere to it that can make it very valuable to know about. Um, Now let me see if we can do this and look at a number of these online locations. And so you can see some of the variety that's available for you there. Let me see if I can get this to come up the way I want it to. Let's get back over here at the beginning. Here we go, maybe. That looks like it. Did that come up for everybody?
Not yet.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet.
Yeah, nothing.
Okay, well, it says it
It's
is
up.
There it is.
command.
There it is.
Has it gotten up yet?
Yes.
Okay. I sent you a list of these. This is the Bible Hub, which was one of the main online programs. And the reason I brought it up is they use these three sites. They just link you to these three sites. And we're going to look at this Bible mapper. Did that change for you?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the Bible mapper. You have 213 maps of all different kinds, all different kinds of events. And these are basically in chronological order biblically. So you get Israel's history and then you go into the New Testament. And they have maps of the whole thing. I use this as a search to see if it would bring this up for me. And let's see if it will or won't. No, that's a different one. Here we go. Here's a map for you. Can you see that?
Yes.
It's pretty small, but it's pretty detailed. Um, and you see various features. You get a little bit of the topography, the hills here, the lower plains here. And if I go back over here, see if I can bring this one up. Here's Sodom and Gomorrah. You see the detail that they have about it in terms of the Bible text. And then here's a map where they show where they're probably located. And in their map, they have the Dead Sea clear up here, only right here. Whereas most maps, you'll see the Dead Sea coming clear down in here. Since they believe, of course, that Sodom and Gomorrah weren't in the Dead Sea, couldn't have very well been in mid-prosperous cities. Okay. Let me close this one. Well, now I've messed myself up.
That nurse is coming tomorrow. Bye. Bye.
Oh, there's the problem. Well, now we're going to have to start all over here. Hang on a minute. Well, hang on, folks. It looks like I'm going to have to back out completely.
Yes, honey. I'm ready. Why you didn't call me? I'm ready to get out. Hey, sexy. Okay, sweetie.
Well,
What happened?
just five of us still on here. Everybody else like they logged off who was on here.
Is the instructor still on?
No, I don't see him. I don't hear him either. I thought maybe because he keeps coughing that maybe he went to, you know, take care of that, but I think he's been gone too long.
Well, six of us still waiting. Yeah, hopefully he'll come back on. He's gotta notice he's on.
How long he been gone?
At least about 15 minutes.
Um, I'll wait till 7:35 and then I'll sign off if he doesn't come back.
I mean, he was in the middle of something, showing us the atlas, and then I guess I thought he was getting out to get back in. But something went wrong. I don't know.
We don't have a phone number to call him?
We might have one on the email. Yes, at least the email.
I don't have a number for him.
Yeah, I'm sure it was in the email he sent us.
You all still here?
Yes, all
Yeah,
seven of us
waiting
here.
on you.
All right. You're not going to be like the um, professor who um, sent a tape recording for his lecture one time when he couldn't be at the class. And the students, of course, all walked in the room and saw he wasn't there. And he had the tape recorder set up, so they all left. And the next class they had, the professor reprimanded them, insisting that when my recorder is here, I am here. And so the next day, when he came to class, there was a tape recorder on all the desks. Okay, let's try again.
That's funny. Mm.
Now, has this come up yet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's see if it'll hold on here. Let's see, maybe if I close this and close this one and close this one, that'll help us a little bit. Here's a site, Bible History, and by its title, you can see that it is interested in more than just maps, but it does have a full selection of maps. And theirs set up in such a way that you can pretty easily see the maps at the very beginning. Here's that one we just looked at, Sodom and Gomorrah, in their site. And now you see the Sea of Galilee all the way down. And now it shows Sodom and Gomorrah in the sea. The opinion held by many that in fact is what happened, that when the cities were destroyed, they opened the way for the sea even to expand. Here's one on the 12 tribes. It's not real easy to see, but it does give them all. It, however, um, does not have the point that we discover in the history where many of the people of Dan down here on the south were not able to secure their foothold and they moved north. So there may not have been very many of them who lived down here in this area. But do you notice anything interesting about this configuration of the tribes? Notice this huge tribe here of Manasseh on both sides, and almost more area than any other tribe except Gad. And together there's more here than there is of this. Ephraim is fairly large and Manasseh is fairly large, but the others beside Gad are pretty small. Okay, Let me go back over here and pick up. See, there ought to be one down here. Israel under the Maccabees. Jerusalem in the time of Jesus. Judah. Jordan River. Here we go. Here's the country after it divides. Israel to the north on both sides of the river, and Judah to the south. You know, it looks like it's already locked me up. I was going to go back. Did you happen to notice? There, now it's going to crash on me. Well, we'll just close this one and we'll go to one other. Here's God Web, which again is more than just maps. Whole lot of stuff here. And here you have a fairly limited number of maps. And this site has a lot of ads on it. So this is just an ad. Let's see if it's going to be able to download this for me. It's got another ad wanting to come in here. Here's a map of the city with some of the modern sites, the Church of the Sepulchre, for instance, on it. This little strip right over here with this dots is probably all the city of David was to start with. And then they build the palace and the temple to the north of that. And then through the centuries, probably even after Ezra and Nehemiah's day, they expand over into here. There would have been some of this before the captivity, but not much. Okay. Here's a site, Bible.ca, it's on your list, and they have a book with all of this in it too. And they tout their wares here. This stuff is all copyrighted, but that just means you can't include it in something you're going to publish. And there's a whole bunch of chronologies that are wonderful to have in addition to the maps. And then tied to the maps, they call them sermon outlines, but they're built around the event, around the map. Then you have a photo gallery of sites. So you not only can see it in a map, you get actual pictures of what it looks like now. Here's a map. I sent you several materials, so you may want to go back to this one on this site and see their maps of the Exodus. Let's see if it's going to bring it up without creating a problem for us. They're not very big. So you want to be able to look at them when we look at this information. And I simply picked this as one of the things that's fascinating to explore because there's so much about it that we can't be sure. There's a whole list here of maps from antiquity on the Exodus that have been surmised at various times. And then your main maps down here. Let's see, the United Kingdom of David, but that doesn't show the tribes and the divided kingdom. So that's this site. And it obviously is one worth looking at occasionally. I don't know why that stayed open. Here's a site, Precept Austin. And here I've gone you from the home page so you can see the Bible maps, alphabetical, maps of ancient. See if he'll open this one for us. It's trying. You can see here there's an extensive list. So this would be a good site to have because you have so many maps, all specifically in historical settings. And the New Testament, early church history with mainly Paul. The Jordan Rift. Here's a satellite map that you could expand when you were looking at it. Here you see the Sinai Peninsula with the Gulf of Aqaba, the Persian Gulf, the seismic rift. Here you get temperatures, all kinds of information about it. The Jordan Valley. Okay. So here's that list. And here's the Bible study site. And you're going to see here a list that's going to grow. And again, you have very specific ones. Let's see if this one will open. I had it open earlier. Ancient Israel Judah map. Here we go. And traditionally, we talk about Israel, that broke away after Solomon as 10 tribes, and Judah as Judah and Benjamin 2 tribes. But if you remember or you happen to notice, when the 12 tribes are distributed, the tribe of Simeon is clear down here. It's not likely that the tribe of Simeon joined with these tribes up here. So really it wouldn't have been 10 up here and 2 here. There were 3 down here. And here you get not only the maps, but timelines that you can work with. And here's one of the sites, and we'll look at that one in just a minute so you can see what I was just talking about. This is knowingthebible.net. Here are the various peoples as best we can guess that were there before the Israelites moved in, various tribes of people, various groups you read about, the Moabites, the Ammonites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Jebusites, those people. Here's a map that tries to show some of the sites in the book of Joshua where you have the conquest. Let's see if this will come up for us. Here we go. May not be still very big for you to be able to see. Well, it didn't stay up. See, here's Simeon down here. Here's Judah. Here's Benjamin. Now, see, these tribes could all join without too much trouble. And remember, Dan, by and large, has moved clear up here. So you've got these tribes that are all contiguous with each other. But Simeon is completely separated from them. These are all historically set. Here's after the exile. Then you get the expansion of the Greek. And here the Hasmoneans, who were the Jews who were able to regain their independence against the Greeks after Alexander the Great. For about 100 years, they were able to have a free country. And this is the precursor to the New Testament times. Because when that collapses, this is what replaces it. And then here's in the book of Acts, and then you have the Mediterranean with Paul. This one shouldn't have been open. Here's the maps of Enter the Bible site, which is on your list. And here's one of the Exodus. See if we're down enough that they'll be able to open these for us. Now, here we go. Here's the traditional view idea of how Moses led them out of Egypt to Mount Sinai down here, and then up through here, and then to enter, and then they refused, and so they wandered around here until he brings them back in from this side instead of from this side. We're going to see some alternatives to this in a minute. See if this will let me go back. Yeah. Then here's one called Bible Maps. And these are all drop downs. And you have here's the map coming up. And this is related to that particular time. And you touch any of these and it takes you to the scriptures where that was being talked about. Here's more of a topographical map again, so you can see a little bit of the terrain and the sites involved with David. Well, this is the Headwaters Resources, and for some reason it's not opening. Let's see if it can open it. There we go. They charge for some of those, although these maps that are on the site like this, you can copy and paste into something, or and you know, didn't have to worry about pasting them, just look when you want to look at them. And this is Christian resources, not just maps. So again, you have a whole bunch of stuff besides the maps. And you see there, they've got them tied to a whole series of specifics. Jacob, Joseph, Judah and Tamar, Joseph's brothers, Moses moves to Midian, Exodus, Here's their map. And notice, let's see if we can bring it up. Notice they cut through the middle of the Sinai and they went clear over here for Mount Sinai. They didn't put it down here, they've got it over here. Battle with the Amorites. And that's just that section of Old Testament. There's 41 maps there. There's 6 in this set. There's 6 in this set. This is Bible Researcher, their site. And they have some maps here that they say are taken from the Historical Maps Atlas by William Shepard. They don't have very many, but those are there. You can see this one, an outline map of Old Testament Palestine. See if this one will open for us fairly easily. And you can see what this looks like. These are maps that were in the Bible school rooms when I was a kid. And it turns out that those Shepherd maps are actually in the University of Texas at Austin. And so you can look at all those that you want to. Historical map of Shepherd. Here's the list in 23. Let's see if it'll open and show us one of them. This is all non-biblical here. All the Near East is up here with the Bible Times. Here's the Assyrian Empire in the days of the captivities. Yeah, you can do it. There you go. Here's Assyria. And they reached way down into here and way down into here. And for a time, they even came down into Egypt. And then Bible Places is connected with this satellite Bible atlas. So you can actually get some of these pictures on their site. And if you connect with them financially, you can get access to them. I had this one opened earlier. Let's see, there you go. There's Palestine looking from the southeast, from the Negev, from the Sinai Peninsula off here, up through there, and you can really get an idea of the topography with this. Several of these sites had significant pictures, but then there's this site that I added to your list that is nothing but the pictures. It didn't reopen when I had to close. So let's see if it will. There we go. Prominent starts. Go see what's there. Here's the Jordan River and the valley and the park. You can see all kinds of pictures about that. So all those resources are available for you to look at. I sent you several papers about the Exodus, and I already showed you 2 pictures that show entirely different views of exactly where that Exodus happened. So for next week, we're going to spend some more time with an atlas and the Bible dictionaries and look at what's involved in charting how the Israelites moved from Egypt to Israel. And of course, when you're looking at this, depending on what your source is, what their position about it is and how much they want to discuss alternative positions, you will find people who question the whole idea, who see it as a much smaller event than the Bible portrays it. But there are people with serious convictions about the fact that Moses took several 100,000 people out of Egypt and took them through the wilderness to the land of Palestine, the land of promise, and set them up to invade it and occupy it. But when they read the story in Exodus, they don't come up with the same understanding of how they did that. And one of the documents I think I sent to you is probably 20, 30 pages long. A Bible Wycliffe person in Egypt, Egyptologist and Bible translator, spends a lot of time working his way through various theories that he's been confronted with and talking about him. And then at the end, he goes back and says, well, I'm not sure I did a good job here. So you can see how complex it is. And it's a typical example, it's the extreme example in some respects to the fact that we simply don't know where some of these places are, even one as significant as Sinai. And I happen to have a fairly strong opinion that that's God's hand. The God of Scripture is the creator of the globe, creator of all people. And even when he chose a particular people in a particular place and time, he makes it abundantly clear from the beginning that his objective is not just them, It's everybody. And so from the beginning, there's the understanding in Israel that their God is not the God of a place. And I think God makes that so firmly impressed that despite our insistent effort of trying to find these sites and venerate these sites and have pilgrimages to these sites, that wasn't God's interest, it was not his intention. And so he deliberately obscures the places. When he takes Peter, James, and John to a mountain where he appears in glory with Elijah and Moses, Peter says, man, this is incredible. We need to build 3 shrines here, one for each of you guys. And God quickly says, hush, listen to Jesus. We don't know where the place was for sure. Pretty good guesses, but we don't know for sure. Because God didn't want 3 shrines there. He didn't want us to feel compelled to go to a place in order to gain something that we can't gain somewhere else. And so he didn't let that happen. And there's a fascinating story with Elijah, who tries to go back to Horeb, Mount Sinai. And when he gets there, obviously looking for what happened there with Moses, there's an earthquake and there's fire and there's wind like there was with Moses at Sinai, but God will only speak to Elijah in a still small voice. You don't need to come here. There's no advantage in this place because I'm not a God of place. So don't worry about that. Don't even try that. Don't waste your time and effort. Certainly not your funds that need to be used for other things, like people who are hungry. I'm here. I'm with you. So places for you to go are immaterial. But spend some time looking over, acquainting yourself with the geography of Egypt. Look at Egyptian history a little bit, so you can see that Israel is escaping from way up in the north. The Egyptian empire has been much larger than that. And then the terrain that they have to go through to get where they're going, the temperature, the scarcity of water, all the other features of the land. And look at some of these ideas that people have about how in the world they did that. And we'll talk about what you think next week. Okay, any questions?
Excellent.
Have fun with the maps. Hang in there a minute so I can be sure I got everybody counted in here. Carlos has come in. And Dion has come in.
Okay, it's this.
Is Andrew there too?
Yes, sir.
Lynette, Lydia, I didn't get. Okay. You all
night.
have a good evening.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Yes. Mm.